And now back to your regularly scheduled program.
They're creepy and they're kooky, mysterious and spooky. They're all together ooky, the Addams Family.
Neat. Sweet. Petite.
So get a witch's shawl on, a broomstick you can crawl on. We're gonna pay a call on the Addams Family.
Well, hello, kiddies. This is your friendly neighborhood watchman again, here with you today to talk about why I dislike Netflix's Wednesday. Wednesday Addams from the Addams Family, which is the creation of Charles Addams. Charles Addams, born in January 7th of 1912 and died September 29, 1988, was the cartoonist. His cartoons became wildly popular, which graced the interior pages of the New Yorker. Now, we all have opinions. You like it? Fine. I don't, and I would think that there are some people of my generation that feel the same, that have more than a superficial knowledge of the Addams Family. As a Gen Xer, which typically covers from the late 60s into the 80s, we grew up on the reruns. Back then, there weren't all these cable channels, So we watched what was available to us that caught our fancy. And usually, if you like the Addams Family, you like the Monsters, and vice versa. Both originally were shown in black and white. Now, I'm a big Addams Family fan. I was into the cartoons as a kid, of 4 or 5 years old. My dad had a book or two on Charles Addams cartoons. One was based on the Mother Goose Tale. Had a coffee table book of New Yorker cartoons, and in there, as you would guess, were a plethora of Charles Addams cartoons. Now, what got me right off the bat, red flags with this Netflix version, was Pugsley. They had Pugsley as some milquetoast, weak, sniveling kid that had to depend upon his sister as savior to help, protect, and avenge him. And that's just not how Pugsley was. Pugsley and Wednesday would never permanently have the upper hand over one another. They would go back and forth. They would experiment on one another, and usually with the consent of the other one.
Children, why do you hate the baby?
We don't hate him. We just want to play with him. Especially his head.
Now, in the 60s version, 1964 to 65. Therefore, there wasn't enough time given for them to be able to expand on the children. The other characters took the lion's share of the camera time and the plot. And of course, this was the 60s, so they couldn't really get into too much of the ghoulishness and dark humor regarding the children. Now, the recent CGI animated versions of the Addams Family was better. The last one, though, focused on Wednesday. And the 1991 Addams Family, with Christina Ricci in the role of Wednesday, was on point. Jimmy Workman was in the role of Pugsley Addams. And that was closer to the original characters that Charles Addams created. Charles Addams made character description for the television series back in 1963. And in it, he described the family in his own words thusly, and I quote, Gomez and Pugsley are enthusiastic. Morticia is even in disposition, muted, witty, sometimes deadly. Wednesday is her mother's daughter, a close-knit family, the real head being Morticia, although each of the others is a definite character, except for Grandma, who is easily led. Many of the troubles they have as a family are due to Grandma's fumbling, weak character. The house is a wreck, of course, but this is a house-proud family just the same, and every trap door is in good repair. Money is no problem, unquote. Now, his description of Pugsley is as follows. An energetic monster of a boy, about 9 years old, blondish red hair, popped blue eyes, and a dedicated troublemaker. In other words, the kid next door. Genius in his own way. He makes toy guillotines, full-size racks, threatens to poison his sister, can turn himself into a Mr. Hyde with an ordinary chemical set. He is, nevertheless, easily controlled by Morticia, though Lurch and Gomez keep their backs to the wall at all times when he's around. His voice is hoarse. And Wednesday, he goes on to describe as I quote, "Child of woe is wan and delicate with her mother's dark black hair and white complexion. Sensitive and on the quiet side, she loves the picnics and outings to the underground caverns, often planned by Morticia and Gomez. She is a solemn child, prim in dress and on the whole pretty lost. Gomez is wild about her, secretive and imaginative, poetic, seems underprivileged and given to occasional tantrums, has 6 toes on 1 foot," unquote. So as I just described in creator Charles Addams' own word, that Pugsley that was in the Netflix show had no relation to the original Pugsley Addams, to the real deal, to the real McCoy. So right then and there, it put me off. Now people that know nothing about the Addams family, and they just come into it with this Netflix show as the first iteration of the characters, well, obviously they wouldn't know any better. So if they like it, you understand why. It's all new to them. They have no idea of how these characters are supposed to behave. And I don't want to hear about, some people like, things change, you gotta grow with it, you can't be stuck in them. Listen, if you change a character, personality, that's not the same person. It's not the same character. If your mother and father, or wife, or husband, whoever, changed that drastically, you'd think they were a pod person.
Check! Check!
They're like huge seed pods.
They may look the same on the outside, but they're not the same person. They may share physical similarities, but that's where it ends. So I understand people who are first-timers to the Addams family not caring and liking the show. I will hope they will also understand people like me that know of the history of the Addams family not liking it because of the changes in this version, which ultimately makes them different people, different characters. That is not Pugsley Addams. That's their version of some weak brother to Wednesday, to this Wednesday Mary Sue character. But, and this is a trope, right? This is the woke modus operandi. Strong women, weak guys, weak men, young or old, and if you say anything against it, then you're a misogynist. Now, actually, there was an article in the New York Post about these SJWs losing what little minds they have left over some alleged offense because there was a black young man that was a villain. The one whose dad owns the Pilgrim theme park. Only white people can have, some negative traits. That's not racist in itself, right? Because, hey, it's white people. This show goes on to be a wine fest of these misfits who can out-goth and out-angst one another. Between Wednesday and the werewolves and the vampires and the sirens, which are mer people. Now, if this show was based on new characters, I probably would enjoy it, except, again, for the woke crap. Strong females, weak males, all that garbage, and the typical race stuff. What am I talking about? I'll tell you. The fencing scene. I knew as soon as I saw who Wednesday was going to go up against. The black siren chick, she was going to lose. You can say what you want, but I was right. How did I know? Because it follows the same M.O. Woke garbage. Oh, they gave Wednesday a bone. She scored the first point. Of course, so Wednesday ups the challenge to whoever draws first blood wins. And as I knew it, because I am a freaking genius, Black Mer Chick won. Now, of course, the fallback is you can say that the girl isn't really black. She's a siren. She's not a human being. She just looks like a black human being. Well, now you're just trying to have your cake and eat it too. She was treated with the black privilege, so therefore she's black. And then they have her say this. Your face finally got the splash of color it's so desperately needed.
Your face finally got that splash of color it's so desperately needed.
Well, first of all, miss me with that person of color crap. Ain't no one have more color than us fair-skinned people. Okay, we tan. Yes, I know other skin colors can tan too, but not as dramatically. We blush, turn red with embarrassment, excitement, anger. So if you think it's racist for me to say that, yet not racist to say,
your face finally got that splash of color it's so desperately needed,
then you're just full of crap and a hypocrite. First, to be honest, I didn't think I liked Luis Guzman as Gomez Addams. And no, it has nothing to do with him being Puerto Rican. My parents were born in Puerto Rico. So, there's that.
Oh, is that how you want to play it? Yup!
I was just so used to John Aston as Gomez. And I did like Raul Julia, another Puerto Rican actor, as Gomez Addams. In the version from the 1990s, Guzman, his mannerisms, grew on me as that being the characteristics of Gomez Addams.
Guys, back off. Stay out of this. Go, man.
Yes, stay out of this.
Uh-oh, my common sense is tingling. Mary Sue alert. Calling all cars. We have a Mary Sue assaulting normies at the Weather Vane Cafe and Bakery. Be advised, suspect is extremely dangerous and unarmed. Approach with caution. Repeat, suspect is unarmed and has plot armor. Shoot to miss. How'd she learn those moves? From the writer's pen, man. It's in the script, dude. It's in the mother effing script. Even the sheriff can't believe it.
You still can't get down 3 boys?
Hell no.
Can you help her?
And on top of everything, well, hell, she's a master celloist, too.
Discovered that my father may be a murderer.
Oops, spoiler.
I think I'm going to love it here.
Yeah, well, between us, you're the only one, Wednesday. To be fair, and not judge the whole series on the first episode alone, I shall watch it. I don't know how, but I'll stick toothpicks in my eyelids, keep them open. I want to like it.
I think you're freaky and I like you a lot.
I like it a lot.
I hope it gets better, but I wouldn't hold my breath. Can they redeem Pugsley? It's not impossible, but I find it improbable. But if they do somehow give him a spine and have his testicles drop, then I will be able to tolerate it a little better. But that wokeness crap, once they interject it there right from the get-go, it ain't going anywhere. It may get worse, but we shall see. Hollywood has no originality anymore. They can't come up with new ideas. They're hard-pressed to anyway. They gotta take old ones and just butcher them with woke nonsense. That's how I feel about it. If you like it, don't come whining to me. So potato. Indeed, Jenna Ortega. Indeed. So with that, my friends, come to the end of this video. And if you're happy it's ending, just smash that like button. If you agree with me, then caress that like button and hit that notification bell so you never miss when I drop another video. And as always, stay safe and I bid you peace.